Genesis chapter 26, Isaac and Abimelech. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the previous famine in Abraham's time. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines in Gerar. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and will give them all these lands, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions." So Isaac stayed in Gerar. When the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," because he was afraid to say, "She is my wife." He thought the men of this place might kill me on account of Rebekah, because she is beautiful, making the same mistake his father made. When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife Rebekah. So Abimelech summoned Isaac and said, "She is really your wife. Why did you say she is my sister?" Isaac answered him, "Because I thought I might lose my life on account of her." Then Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech gave orders to all the people, "Anyone who harms this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. The man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. He had said he had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied him. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Move away from us, you have become too powerful for us." So Isaac moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar, where he settled. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names his father had given them. Isaac's servants dug in the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herders of Gerar quarreled with those of Isaac and said, "The water is ours." So he named the well Esek, because they disputed with him. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also, so he named it Sitnah. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth. So, saying, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." From there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzath, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked them, "Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" They answered, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you, so we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. And now you are blessed by the Lord." Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peacefully. That day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, "We found water." He called it Sheba, and to this day the name of the town has been Beersheba. Jacob takes Esau's blessing. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Chapter 27. When Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." "Here I am," he answered. Isaac said, "I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die." Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Give me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.' Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats so I can prepare some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes. And bring me 2 choice young goats Oh, just the way he likes. Just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies. Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, but my brother Esau is a hairy man, while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing. His mother said to him, my son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me. So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and smooth part of his neck with the goat skins. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, my father. Yes, my son, he answered. Who is it? Jacob said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing. Isaac asked his son, how did you find it so quickly, my son? The Lord your God gave me success, he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not. Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him, and said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau, so he proceeded to bless him. Are you really my son Esau? He asked. I am, he replied. Then he said, my son, bring me some of your game to eat, so that I may give you my blessing. Jacob brought it to him, and he ate, and he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, come here, my son, and kiss me. So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, my father, please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing. His father Isaac asked him, who are you? I am your son, he answered, your firstborn, Esau. Isaac trembled violently and said, who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me?
Oh no! Oh no!
I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry. And said to his father, bless me too, my father. But he said, your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. Esau said, isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing. Then he asked, haven't you reserved any blessing for me? Which, remember, Jacob's name means deceiver. Isaac answered Esau, I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants. And I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh gosh.
Money-wise?
Then Esau wept aloud. His father Isaac answered him, your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother, but when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck. Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, the days of mourning for my father are near, then I will kill my brother Jacob. When Rebekah was told that her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, your brother Esau is planning to avenge himself by killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with them for a while until your brother's fury subsides. When your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, I'll send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day? Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living. 26 verse 1 through 11. If this short account sounds familiar, it should. Isaac's father Abraham tried the same trick with Sarah twice, with similar results. The context is similar. Isaac, like Abraham, was facing famine. Because of the famine, he moved into the region ruled by Abimelech. Out of fear for his life, he lied to Abimelech by calling his wife his sister. But Abimelech soon learned the truth, and just as before, a ruler both scolded a man in this family for his deception and warned his own people not to touch the woman involved. Once more, we see God's commitment to keep his covenant, since it would be necessary that the line of descent remain uncontaminated. It is ironic that in the midst of a scene of Isaac's fear and unfaithfulness, we find a repetition of God's covenant to him. Isaac, like Abraham, was promised lands, offspring as numerous as the stars, and a blessing that would be for all the nations of the earth. This promise, personal, national, and international, was unconditionally made to Abraham and passed on to Isaac despite his faithlessness. Verse 12 through 22. God's hand was on Isaac, so when he sowed seed in that land, he reaped 100 times what was sown. His flocks also multiplied greatly. Unfortunately, the Philistines of the area grew envious of Isaac's success, so they attempted to sabotage Isaac by stopping up all the wells. In an agrarian society, wells indicated dominion. Owning one meant that you essentially governed the surrounding area. Rather than quarrel over specific wells, however, Isaac avoided conflict by constantly moving and digging new wells. Eventually, God provided an uncontested well, and by extension, a space for Isaac to be fruitful in the land. Verse 23 through 25. As God continued to provide for Isaac, he also reminded him of the promise, "I will bless you and multiply your offspring." God told Isaac, adding a new promise, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you." God knew fear was a problem for Isaac. So while he confirmed his promise, he also confirmed his presence. In response, Isaac did what we all should do, demonstrating faith by fresh worship. He called on the name of the Lord. Verse 26 through 33. Abimelech recognized that God was with Isaac, so he sought to make a treaty with them. This is a partial fulfillment of the promise to Abraham and Isaac that the Gentiles would share in the blessings of God's people. Abimelech even referred to God as the Lord, using God's covenant name. He had grown in his understanding of God through his association with Isaac, just as people today are meant to grow closer to God because of the witness of his people. Verse 34 through 35. Meanwhile, even though God had been blessing Isaac, Esau was making life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah by marrying two Hittite women. Rebellion against his parents' wishes further illustrates why Esau was not fit to carry on the covenant. Rather than allowing his father to help him choose an acceptable spouse, he followed his own impulses and took not just one wife, but two from the idolatrous nations around him. Chapter 27, verses 1 through 4. As Isaac grew older and anticipated his death, he decided to impart his blessing to Esau. Jacob may have already stolen the birthright, the physical inheritance, but Esau still had the chance to inherit his father's blessing, the more important spiritual inheritance. The blessing represented the umbrella of God's operation in the family line, so that no matter what showers and storms were going on around them, they were under cover. Isaac began the ritual of passing on his blessing by calling his older son Esau to him and requesting a delicious meal so that he could bless him before he died. Isaac preferred Esau's wild game and wanted him to hunt for an animal that they could share during this sacred time. Verse 5 through 17. Esau went to the field to hunt some game, just as his father had ordered, but his mother Rebekah had other plans. Calling in Jacob, she hatched a plot. Jacob would go to the flock, pick out 2 young goats, and Mom would make them into a delicious meal for Isaac. Then Isaac, whose eyes were so weak that he could not see, would be deceived and bless Jacob rather than Esau. When Jacob objected, "Esau is a hairy man, but I am a man with smooth skin," his mother revealed the rest of her plan. She would take the skins of the young goats and put them on Jacob's hands and the smooth part of his neck. Evidently, Esau was so hairy that the feel and odor of a dead goat was a sufficient disguise. Verse 18 through 25. When Jacob approached his father Isaac, the ruse almost didn't work because of Jacob's unique voice. But when Jacob came closer, the hairy hands and neck did the trick. All the while, Jacob was lying, adopting the name of Esau. 3 times, in fact, Isaac asked Jacob if he was really Esau, and without a hesitation, Jacob the deceiver assured him. Worst of all, Jacob even used God's name in vain, explaining that he was able to find the goat so quickly because the Lord your God made it happen. Verse 26 through 27. The transfer of blessing always included meaningful touch, which is why Isaac implored Jacob to come closer and kiss him. Touch symbolized identification and intimacy. Verse 28. Isaac passed on his most valuable possession, the blessing he had received from his father Abraham, to Jacob. Now God give to you from the dew of the sky and from the richness of the land an abundance of grain and new wine. In other words, heaven is going to rain down everything you need to get the promises of God fulfilled, son. The agricultural metaphor is a vivid one. It doesn't matter how hard you work on the land if God doesn't send the rain. Far too many of us are working hard to make something of our lives without the blessing that can only come raining down from heaven. We don't need to work harder. We need to put ourselves in a position to receive God's blessing. Verse 29. Isaac repeated the classic covenant that he had received from his father. Those who curse you will be cursed, and those who bless you will be blessed. The center of God's blessing would now rest on Jacob, as deceptive as he was. But Isaac actually goes back further than Abraham, to Adam, in saying, may people serve you and nations bow in homage to you. Isaac was recalling the original kingdom authority given to Adam and Eve. With the blessing comes the responsibility to use our God-given authority, skills, talents, gifts, and opportunities With the blessing comes the responsibility to use our God-given authority, skills, talents, gifts, and opportunities in whatever garden he has placed us, to lead in a way that honors God. Verse 30 through 34. The plot thickens because just as Jacob had left the presence of his father Isaac, his brother Esau arrived from his hunting. By the time Isaac has realized what happened, the blessing cannot be revoked. Esau's response is simultaneously pitiful and tragic. He cried out with a loud and bitter cry, probably loud enough for Jacob, who wasn't far off to overhear. This was a gut-wrenching wail from a man who realized that his entire future had been snatched out of his hands. Verse 34 through 38. Esau's insistence on receiving some blessing from his father mirrors the heart cry of so many in our society. Bless me too, my father, Esau shouted with increasing desperation. How many young people today, whether they know how to articulate it or not, are crying out for their father simply to speak a simple word of blessing into their lives? Verse 39 through 41. In the end, Esau received a word from his father, but it was far from a blessing. Rather than receiving from the dew of the sky and from the richness of the land, Esau was told that his dwelling place would be away from the richness of the land and away from the dew of the sky. No wonder then that Esau held a grudge against Jacob, plotting to kill him. Verse 42 through 46. Jacob's mother, Rebekah, ever the eavesdropper, found out about Esau's murderous intent in time to hatch another plot. Jacob would flee at once to Rebekah's brother Laban in Haran, hiding out there until Esau's rage could cool. As a positive side effect of this plan, she reasoned Jacob would also be more inclined to marry someone within their clan rather than the Hittite girls that had been making Rebekah's life so miserable. And that is the end of Genesis chapters 26 and 27. Jacob stealing Esau's blessing. But it all works out in the end. So, next up, we'll be getting into 28 and 29. Jacob journeying to Paddan Aram to visit his uncle Laban, and then he ends up serving his uncle Laban for, I believe, like 20 or so years before he dips off from him. So now we're into Jacob's part of the story, and we are past the halfway point of Genesis, and this is when Genesis starts to get really, really good, really, really, really interesting. So be sure to like and subscribe. May God bless everyone, and I will see y'all next time.